Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the May meeting of the Corangamite Shire Council. Can I ask everyone to stand for the prayer and acknowledgement of country? We ask for guidance and blessing on this council. May the true needs and well-being of our communities be our concern. Help us who serve us as leaders to remember that all our decisions are made in the best interests of the people, culture and the environment of the Corangamite Shire. Amen. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land around Corangamite Shire, the Eastern Maar and the Wadawurrung people. We pay our respects to all Aboriginal elders and peoples past and present. Thank you, councillors. Can I introduce councillors and staff who are with us this evening? To my left is Deputy Mayor Joe Beard, Councillor Kate Macon, Councillor Jamie Vogels, Councillor Nick Cole, Councillor Geraldine Kennedy, Councillor Laurie Hickey, our CEO, Mr Andrew Mason, and Directors Ms Brooke Love, Director of Works and Services, Ms Justine Linley, Director of Sustainable Development, Mr David Ray, Director of Corporate and Community Services, and we also have with us this evening Mr Adam Taylor, Manager of Finance. Mr CEO, we have no apologies this evening. Is there any declaration of conflict of interest?
Madam Mayor, there have been no declarations of conflict of interest.
Thank you. Confirmation of the minutes, councillors, have been circulated. Would someone like to move the minutes as correct? Councillor Macon, seconder. Councillor Hickey, no comments on the minutes. Put it to vote. All in favour? Carried. Deputations and presentations. This evening we have three very special guests with us, Mr Eric Ward, Mrs Mary Ann Vogels and Mr John Vogels. Welcome to you, and I ask Mr Eric Ward if he'd like to address the council. Mr Ward is speaking with regards to item 9.1, Timboon land gifted to council.
Cool, thank you. All right to go.
Thank you, Mr Ward, and welcome.
It's a special night for me tonight to be here, and I thank you. People I've got to thank is Peter Pope and Anne-Marie Vogels, Neil Trotter, and Joe Beard, Joe particularly, who helped me with the subdivision that's just about completed in Timboon at the moment. Neil Trotter, Andrew Mason, who's been a great help. The value of the land is present, who my land agent wants to sell all the time, is gone up in price every week, and so it's a great pleasure for me to be able to hand this over tonight to, and I'm going to got the keys for the lock of the gate at the back at the west end of the piece of land that we're donating for a nursing home in Timboon. And I suppose I've got to watch the clock because it'll go quick, but I was number 3 out of 9 in a family. If you know anything about your Bible, Jacob was born a deceiver. Well, I was born a rebel because I left home when I was about 5 and headed back to Cobden with short pants and a blouse and bare feet, and I got up the road a fair way, and I just said too much discipline at home, always in trouble. Father was a disciplinarian, mother was a bundle of love, but I always believed in God. And we had a pandemic then when I was 7, and it was infantile paralysis, and I copped it. That's polio now, they call it polio. I was doubled up in a ball with my arm up here and my knee under my chin, and that lasted for about 3 months, and I eventually unrolled. And then at the age of 12, when the war was probably at its worst, the Japs were blowing Darwin off the map, and we didn't know much about it down here. But we were milking cows before and after school because there was no other labour. By the time we got to school, we were ready to go to sleep. And so we were brought up with one thing we didn't learn. We didn't have too much education, but we certainly learned to work. And we started off, I was taken out of school when I was 12 as to be assistant drover to Eli Easterbrook. Those days, cattle were never carted on trucks. They were always drove. We would have 3 days a month. We'd collect cattle from Peterborough out on the Monday. Tuesday we'd be out the other side near the old plantation. Wednesday we would drove them up here to the sale at Camperdown, at Timboon, where Dalgetty's, where Landmark is now. We would have perhaps 100 in our mob, and Curral boys that have 100 in their mob, and once a month we would travel up. So I was employed at the age of 12 by Dalgetty's on their payroll, and I got 10 shillings for 3 days' work. So money has altered a bit over the years, but then at the age of 14 I had £24 in the bank, and I said to Father, I'll take that out. I'm not going to make much money out of this, the interest rate. So I took it out and I bought 6 heifers with my £24 that I'd saved from rabbit skins, fox skins, calf skins, and someone gave me a heifer calf, a neighbour, and it grew and it had a calf, was a second calf, and that went on until I was starting to make inroads into Father's farm herd, and so he decided that the neighbour was having a clearing sale, so he said, you better bring your cattle up and sell them, and I did. So that's where we started. We got up to the place eventually where we were probably worth between 8 and 9 million in work, and we were borrowed about 3 million, and we were getting our funds through Bankshire. Some of you probably know about Bankshire. They went broke, 600 million in debt, and they sold our mortgages to at a discounted rate to Deutsche Bank, and then the little Deutsch bloke come round and he said, we want the 3 million today, and we had to sell one of our farms to clear it out. And then we came back, and I've been back to Timboon for about 5 years now and cleaned up there, and we have this piece of land. We already, Mary and I, donated the last bowling club green, which is the West End, years and years ago, and now we have the opportunity today to, this little parcel of land, it's just about 4 acres, and we're dedicating that for a nursing home for Timboon and district people. And so that's what I'm here tonight to hand that over, and we've got there's 3 gates on the property, but the one that between me and the land that's just been sold, I've got the padlock on the gate there. The other 2 gates just open on to Alage Lane, and one onto Fox Street. So that's where the piece of land is, and I've got much pleasure to hand over the keys for the padlock to Andrew, if he's here. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Eric. Very generous. Thank you very much. Yeah. It's been a long time coming, but very generous.
I know, a very long time coming. There's just one little thing I want to read, if I can take a moment of time to read it to us from a devotion, a word for the day. and it's pretty important, I think, if you listen carefully. The sum of how you live your life each day becomes your legacy. Tally each action over many years, and you can see your legacy begin to take place. Grenville Cresler writes, and I quote, "Your life is like a book. A little page is your name. The title page is your name. The preface is your introduction to the world. The pages are a daily chronicle of your efforts, trials, pleasures, discouragements, ambitions and achievements. Day by day, your thoughts and acts are being inscribed as evidence of your success or failure. Hour by hour, the record is being made, which must stand for all time. One day, the word finish must be written." I'm getting pretty close to that day. Let it then be said of your book that it is a record of noble purpose, generous service, and work well done, end quote. Most of us don't get the choice when or how we're going to die, but we all get to decide how we're going to live. And that's the legacy we leave to those who follow us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ward, and I just think it's an absolutely wonderful gesture, and I don't want to preempt Council's decision coming up, but a wonderful gesture and certainly a terrific legacy that you're leaving to the community of Timboon. So thank you very much indeed on behalf of residents of Timboon and District. Can I ask Mary Ann Vogels to the lectern, please?
Thank you, Eric. On behalf of the Timboon and District Healthcare Service and on behalf of the community I live in, Eric, I would like to extend our enormous gratitude for your generous donation. It's not the first donation you have made to the community. Already many enjoy the bowling club and its social benefits, all built on land you donated many years ago when your wife Mary was still alive. Your plan has been created over a long time ago, and your wish to section off this parcel of land for the benefit of the aged in the district was made with us in mind. It is close to the Timboon and District Healthcare Service so that any aged care development could be serviced or developed by us. It is a beautiful piece of land which will be enjoyed by many. What a wonderful plan you have been able to execute, Eric, recognising the limited options our aged have in the district and generously providing an option for the future so that those in the district can have the option to remain and be cared for in the district that they love. Eric, when I called to thank you for your donation, I recall you telling me that God has been good to you. You have had your ups and you've had your downs, but in the end, you have been very grateful for all that has been provided, and in return, you and Mary always believed it was important to share your good fortune and give back. Eric, I know that you and Mary worked hard and had a strong faith, and in the end, your wish was to build an aged care facility named after your beloved wife. As our community ages, this wish will be very appreciated by all of us. And as we will do all we can to ensure that we honour your wishes and create a service to make you and your family proud. Eric, you are a wonderful example of graciousness and Christian values. At 90, you still continue to think of others. You share good fortune and demonstrate values we are also very grateful for. Your energy is best described as relentless, and for all you have done and continue to do, Eric, we thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. Councillors, we now go to the agenda, and the first items are committee reports. Item 7.1 is the Mount NOORAT Management Committee Annual Report and Committee Appointment. Can I ask Ms Lindley to introduce this item, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to present the Mount NOORAT Management Committee's annual report and also advise Council on the appointment or recommending the appointment of a community representative to the committee. Since 2018, the committee has been delegated to implement the Mount NOORAT Management Plan, which provides for responsibility to manage and develop Mount NOORAT. The committee comprises 10 elected community members, 1 council representative and 2 standing members, Eve Black and Gina Black. Community representatives on the committee are appointed for a 4-year term, with nominations for 5 positions advertised biennially in June. The committee's responsibilities are mainly focused on implementing the Mount NOORAT Management Plan and Risk Management Plan, which includes a 30-year vision for Mount NOORAT and states Mount NOORAT is a destination known for its geological and natural values and experiences, a place where culture, past and present, is understood and respected, and where access is provided for all to enjoy. A member of the committee has recently resigned, resulting in a casual vacancy. This vacancy was advertised, and a recommendation to appoint a community member to the committee is before you this evening, as is the annual report featuring a full program of works and activities. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Lindley. Councillors, we have a recommendation. Someone like to move that recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Canady. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Macon. Councillor Canady.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. So we heard that the Mount NOORAT Management Committee is delegated to implement the Mount NOORAT Management Plan, which has a 30-year outlook, and also to manage the risk management plan as well. The committee is certainly making inroads with the plans, as evidenced by quite a number of structural changes on the Mount, including improvements to the path and the construction of the crater fencing as part of the revegetation management plan they've developed. Thank you again to Mrs Knight for her $30,000 donation for these revegetation works. I haven't been walking on the mountain as much as I used to, but the last time I went up there I noticed the lovely new entrance fencing. It looks fantastic. It's clear the walking and environmental experience on Mount NOORAT is enjoyed by many, with an average of 1,200 people per month walking on the track. The development of a Friends of group is a really positive initiative that the Management Committee have created, and I really like the idea they have of partnering with local schools and groups to enable propagation of native tree species for their revegetation program. They're an active committee with a number of projects and activities on the go, and I thank the members for giving up their time and energy to care for Mount NOORAT. It's a really, truly well-loved natural asset in our community. So I am pleased to receive this annual report and support, in addition, support the appointment of Mr Cameron to fill the casual vacancy. Mr Cameron's application demonstrates a very strong background of skill and experience that has relevance to the role, and he will be a valuable complement to the existing committee members. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Canady. Councillor Macon.
I will happily receive the Mount NOORAT Management Annual Report. It's great to see that this local natural beauty has continued to be a destination point for locals and visitors, even during the heart of the pandemic. With the committee installing a people counter during 2019 to track visitor numbers, the data collection showed a significant increase in daily visitors during 2020, from an average of 20 visitors a day up to 45. And this can only mean great things for the Mount NOORAT and also the surrounding towns having extra visitors to the area. Undertaking projects like installing a new viewing area, walking tracks, and I also did happen to see on social media at the start of the month the completion of the gates to the Mount. And they look really great and are more of a grand entrance to the mountain, which is what it's needed. I would like to thank outgoing committee member Rob Durant for all his time and effort he has put in over the years, and welcome Mr Leslie Munro Cameron as a committee representative on the Mount NOORAT Management Committee for the term of June 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Macon. Councillors, is there any further comments? I'll put this motion to the vote. All in favour? That's carried. There are no planning reports this evening. Officers' reports, item 9.1, Timboon land gifted to council. Mr Mason.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. As we've heard tonight in the deputations, this report relates to what I would say is a very generous offer by Mr Ward to gift council a parcel of land in Timboon. And so I think the parcel of land's located, it's got a lovely outlook. It's located close to the hospital, close to the bowling club. And Mr Ward has a vision and a dream, which I've heard about this parcel of land being used as a nursing home. And so it's a very generous and a very touching offer. And council's role in this is really to be a caretaker of this parcel of land on behalf of the Timboon community. We're not planning on developing it. We're not in the business of delivering aged care, but what I've always been keen to do is make sure that we can help the Timboon community reach that, help Eric and the community achieve those dreams. So the recommendation is before councillors in three parts. The first is the significant part, which is where the council accepts the gifting of the parcel of land. The second part is that a common seal be applied to a deed of intention that sets out the conditions attached to the gifting of the parcel of land. And thirdly, that we would also enter into a lease with Timboon Action around the future maintenance and leasing of the land, so until such a time as it can be developed. So the recommendation is before councillors and I'm certainly recommending approval.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Councillors, would someone like to move the recommendation? Councillor Macon. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cole. Councillor Macon.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. I had the pleasure of meeting Mr Ward the other week, and he drove me around this 3.6 acre parcel of land. And all I can say, this is a beautiful block of land with great views of the valley, which I would in a heartbeat build a house on. If Mr Ward was to sell this land in the market today, he would fetch a nice price tag, but instead, Mr Ward has kindly offered to donate it to the Timboon community. This very generous offer demonstrates his strong commitment to the Timboon and the surrounding community, and to leave a lasting legacy. I was talking with my husband Matt the other day, and he mentioned he remembered when this first came to council some 14 years ago, and meeting Mr Ward in the caravan and talking about his pipe dream. And it just shows how determined and committed Mr Ward is to give this land to the community. He still hasn't given up, and finally it has come to fruition. So thank you. I'd also like to thank the Timboon Health Services Board, Mr Pope, for working with Mr Ward with all the processes and making sure that this transaction was able to take place with the best outcome for both Mr Ward and the community. Thanks to Timboon Action for making the commitment to maintain the property. I'm sure the block of land will be well cared for and maintained. I'd like to thank Mr Ward again for his kind donation. We need more people like you in our community, so thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Macon. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I congratulate Mr Ward on his very, very generous gift to Timboon and community. These sorts of things are very rare and should be acknowledged, and if the world was full of people like Mr Ward, it'd be a lot better place. The generosity of this kind gift and a benefactor to Timboon. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Councillors, further comments? Councillor Beard.
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. I think as council and as caretakers of the current council, I think this is the least we can do. Mr Ward, I wish there was more people just like you in our society, and I hope my boys get to see the speech that you gave before. Your generosity, your loyalty to your community, you're such a humble man, and the time I've known you, that's how I've always gone away when I've had conversations with you, is that you're all about giving back to your community. These sort of things don't come along very often, and I'm so glad to know that we can play our role in facilitating the vision and the wish of yours and your wife, of your late wife. And I really do hope that this, as Councillor Macon said, does come to fruition. And I'm pretty sure as councillors will be working hard over the next umpteen years to make sure that we can work with the TIMBOON community to make that your dreams come true. But once again, I hope my boys get to see just what a true gentleman is, and I hope a lot of people aspire to be just like you, because you are a rarity. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Is there anything further, councillors? If not, we'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? That motion is carried. Well done, councillors. Thank you again, Mr Ward. Item 9.2 is the draft budget 2021-22. Mr Taylor.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. This report is to release the 2021-22 budget, including the fees and charges scheduled for public feedback. The budget contains $54 million worth of commitments, including $21.2 million worth of projected capital work.
Mr Taylor, just want to hold one moment while our guests leave. Thank you very much. Thank you.
God bless you and God bless Australia.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr Taylor.
Thank you. So the budget contains $54 million in commitments, including $21.2 million in projected capital projects. The budget has been based on a 1.5 increase in rates and charges and a minor reduction in the waste management charge. The budget maintains Council's sound financial position and strong commitment to high standards of services. Should Council accept the recommendation, feedback will be sought through the website and through paper copies of the budget available through the Civic Centre. Councillors, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Mr Taylor. Councillors, anyone ready to move a motion? Thank you, Councillor Beard. Seconded by Councillor Canady. Councillor Beard.
Sorry, Councillor Canady, you may have actually got in before me then.
Sorry, I was looking at
Anyway,
you.
happy to move this motion of obviously putting the draft budget out to our community. So it's been a pretty significant one, this one, as it was our very first as this council. So I think the whole process went through pretty well, all things considered. There was a lot in it, and I'd like to thank the staff who have been involved in forming up the budget to get it to the council table, and more importantly, the feedback that we regularly receive from our ratepayers around the services and the projects that they'd like to see. A budget doesn't get formed overnight. It's years of work that comes into action, and it gets to that one point then where we get to sit there and decide what's in, what's out, and then what our next few years look like going ahead. So we do our best to look after everybody across our communities. We have 12 towns with over just over 16,000 people within our area, and it's a lot of people to try and keep happy and content. And I'd like to think that we do our best considering the diversity of those communities particularly. $54 million budget, it's huge, with a $21 million capital works program proposed, with almost $7 million of that being for roads. We certainly listen loud and clear when we know that our priority for this council, and what has been in previous years too, is always around not only the maintenance but also the upgrades of our local roads. So I think we always stand by that, and we do a good job of budgeting to those projects. This is certainly only a draft budget, so I can't stress more than now in asking and inviting community members to give us feedback on the draft budget. It's certainly, as I said, a difficult task to try and keep everybody happy, but we do our best, and retaining the services that our communities have for many years really appreciated is always at the forefront. The last thing we want to do is have to forego any of those, so we always try to have that budget where we live within our means, and I think this budget is a true reflection of doing that again. Following up from a significantly tough year last year, where we actually didn't have a rate rise at all. We have got the, we've gone with the rate cap this particular time around with the 1.5%, but like everything in life, everything goes up. Inflation of materials, cost to run services. So I think it's still a minor increase that our ratepayers will see. Some of them will see decreases depending on the valuations of their properties. So certainly keen to get the feedback on that particular area. Another thing is no new borrowings, which is always a proud element to be able to speak to, is that, you know, we're not going and having to borrow money, even though interest rates are significantly cheap at the moment. We're once again living within our means and not needing to get any borrowings, and we're being very responsible and again putting a smaller amount of money away into reserves, so transfer of reserves, and that's probably more so for the landfill than anything else. So we've, over a period of years, we've been able to put some money aside for the definite rainy days that we are going to encounter in years to come, and put a small amount aside again. Some projects that I'll mention personally that are probably of great interest to not only myself but probably the residents within the south central part of the Shire. The grant programs, which have always been popular, it's great to see that we're supporting those again. The Cobden structure plan, which is on the back of a land use planning review that's just been taking place, not only Cobden but in a couple of other towns, and to see funding set aside to actually implement the structure plan, or to put that plan in process, is great to see. We know that we're attracting more people, particularly after COVID, out of the metro areas, but we need to be able to house those people. So it's great to be able to have population attraction projects, but then we need somewhere for them to live. So this is a really significant project, particularly for the Cobden area. That will also then be followed by, I'm assuming, Terang and Camperdown in the later years, just to make sure that we've got the land availability for those things to occur. Also proud to say that we've been able to include the master plan for Tandrell Park, which is something that I've been getting asked about in Cobden, and a pet project, I would say, of Mayor Gastrain and myself is a pilot for blue-green algae prevention, which is an exciting project that we've certainly been going on about for quite a few years now, of another way of getting people to come and visit our beautiful Shire is to actually utilising that beautiful lake of Lake Bullamary, and the significant impact of having blue-green algae every summer is having on the visitation of that asset. So I could go on all night, and I know people are probably already rolling their eyes at me, the Mayor particularly, but no, I love it when we get to this stage where we can get the feedback from the community, and look forward to continuing to work along my fellow councillors to get it to the next stage of the budget process. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Now, if you've left anything for any of the other councillors to say, Councillor Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, and I do hope you can bear some repetition. But in preparing the draft budget, firstly, Council must ensure that we do meet our basic responsibilities, and one of those is to maintain a strong financial position, and also to provide proper services to the community and a high level of renewal and maintenance for our roads and other assets. Corangamite Council has a good history of meeting these responsibilities, and in this draft budget expects an operating surplus of just under $7 million. State and federal grants for operational purposes and capital works remain similar to last year. We have budgeted a capital works program of $21.25 million. A substantial amount of this is allocated for our asset management plans, including almost $7 million for our roads, and we all know that any amount of expenditure on our roads is necessary, and often we just don't get enough for it, but we keep trying very hard. Some of the projects are subject to funding applications. One of these is the Port Campbell Town Centre upgrade, and we are very hopeful of imminent funding for that, and to have the opportunity to complete this project before international tourists return. Our budget allocates $5.3 million to this $15 million project, and it should be a huge boost to visitation in the southern part of the Shire and to the businesses there that are dependent on tourism. I'll be thrilled if the planned grant application for the Terang Recreation Reserve facility upgrade is successful. This facility is extremely valuable in the Terang community. They have a female football team there that desperately need female-friendly facilities, and the building itself is in dire need of some urgent plumbing repairs and other repairs. We have more than $400,000 budgeted for council grants programs, which are always so well received in the community. They're always extremely well subscribed and hugely beneficial to our Shire businesses and community groups. There are a number of initiatives aimed at growth needed in Corangamite and the creation of opportunity, including a traineeship and apprenticeship program, an industry hub, which should be really interesting and should create a lot of opportunity in the Shire, planning for residential growth, and a Corangamite Shire marketing campaign. These are all budgeted at around $300,000. I think I'm correct on that. There is to be an expansion of the community emergency planning. We've had somewhat broad experience of emergencies in this Shire. Like, it's been quite incredible over the years. You know, we've dealt with fire and flood, explosion, a number of different things. So we certainly cannot underestimate the importance of having a good plan and being well prepared in these events. Other initiatives for the environment include an environment support fund and installation of solar power on the Derranellum transfer station. There is increased expenditure planned for footpaths, about $90,000 I think, which is incredibly welcome. They're so important for connection in our communities, and when you've only got to look around any of the towns you might drive through and see there are lots of people using their footpaths for walking and exercise and just for meeting their everyday needs. So they certainly go a long way to improving livability in our communities. As Councillor Beard said before, our general rates have increased according to the rate cap at 1.5%. With our rates and charges, our rates and charges do represent about 42% of the revenue for the Shire, and in this draft budget we're expecting just over $23 million from these, with an overall increase of about 1.89%. Our operating expenditure, however, is budgeted to be slightly reduced, so I think that's a good indicator of the good management of our general outgoings. The reserve funds being built for the defined benefit fund, the landfill restoration and future large-scale projects are very, very wise. Some of these funds may need to be called upon at very short notice, or as in the landfill restoration, are very high costs that we know are a certainty in the future, and we must be well prepared, and it can take years and years to build enough reserves to manage these expenses that are coming forward. Councillors have discussed the draft budget at a number of briefings. The officers have spent many months preparing it. I think it's a good draft budget, and we've achieved a good spread of projected spending. So I am pleased for the release of the draft budget for community feedback, and I do strongly encourage the public to have a look at it and get back to us over the next 14 days with your views, and just keeping in mind that you are the beneficiaries of this budget when we adopt it in June.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Councillors, is there any further comment? I think everything has been said. I'll put that motion to a vote. All in favour? It's carried. Item 9.3 is the draft revenue and rating plan. Mr Taylor, can you introduce this item, please?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. This report is to release the draft revenue and rating plan for public feedback. The purpose of this plan is to determine the most affordable revenue and rating approach for the Shire, which will adequately finance the objectives of the Council plan. The report focuses on fair and equitable setting of rates and charges, with Council having 6 different categories of land through the report. Councillors, should you accept the recommendation, the plan will be on the Council website and with hard copies available from the Civic Centre. Councillors, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Mr Taylor. Councillors, can I have somebody to move the recommendation, please? Councillor Canady, do I have a seconder? Councillor Beard, Councillor Canady.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. So the revenue and rating plan, apart from outlining the strategic framework employed by the Council in dealing with rates and non-rate revenue, also endeavours to achieve a fair outcome across the various property classes for rates. This is one of the reasons we favour the differential rate strategy, to reflect as equitably as possible the contribution each rate class makes to the overall rates revenue, whilst taking account of the purpose of the property use and the benefits received from council services and community assets investment. For example, in Corangamite, farmland ratepayers contribute approximately 56% of our overall rates revenue, but do not necessarily benefit fully from some of council services. So making rates fair and equitable distribution of rates burden is a widely debated topic. The municipal charge, special charge scheme and various other forms of revenue and the options around them are all explained in this draft. The community has an opportunity now to read through it and provide feedback, and we do welcome it to help us to prepare the final plan for adoption in June. I support the recommendation put before the meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Canady. Councillor Beard.
Oh, yes, through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Canady, for your words. Certainly reiterate everything that you've said. I guess a bit of a call to arms asking people to provide feedback to this draft revenue and rating plan. The differential rating system has seemed to have worked for us in the past. Interestingly enough, though, usually the only people we ever hear from when we put this plan out for feedback, it's usually from the farming fraternity. So it'd be good to get feedback from a bit more of a cross-section of our community. We try, as Councillor Canady said, about being fair and equitable. You'll notice that the vacant industrial land rate percentage is increasing, and I'd really love to hear back from anyone within the industrial area just to give feedback on that. And there seems to be somewhat of a lot of vacant land that we can't seem to get people to build on or to develop, so to speak. So hopefully we'll get some feedback on that. And just can't reiterate enough that we need feedback to know if we're on the right track with considering the differential settings that we've got here. And thank the officers for the time they've put into not only the report but the background and getting all the information to councillors to get to the council decision tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillors, any further comment? I'll put the motion to a vote. All in favour? That's carried. Item 9.4 is the Road Management Plan Review. Ms Love.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor, councillors, in accordance with the Local Government Act, Council are required to review its road management plan within 6 months of a general election or by the 30th of June, whichever occurs later. The plan specifically identifies the roads and pathways which Council is responsible for, the standards to be applied to them, the regime for monitoring the hazards, and the required response times for treating those hazards. A copy of Council's current road management plan has been made available for public comment. 2 submissions have been received, both which related to general maintenance practices of Council. The findings of the review are that the standards and priorities given in the plan for the inspection, maintenance and repair of the various classes of roads and footpaths are considered appropriate. As a result, it is proposed that no amendments be made to the Council's current road management plan. The recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Ms Love. Councillors, someone like to move the recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Canady. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Beard. Councillor Canady.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. We were recently briefed very comprehensively on the roads management plan for the purposes of the review. Community expectations, industry standards and risk are considered in the development of it. There is a well-managed cyclical inspection program for council roads and footpaths, and we've quite frequently heard about that from Ms Love in our briefings, and I know that her team has a very good handle on that responsibility. The customer service request system allows anyone to notify defects also, and any issues they might identify with our roads and footpaths. There has been discussion around the intervention level on steps in the footpaths, and external advice was sought on that. As Ms Love said, there were 2 submissions received that weren't related directly to this review. The review has been done in accordance with the road management regulations and has found that the standards in the current plan are adequate and that no amendments are necessary. So I do support the recommendation to adopt the new Shire road management plan without amendment.
Thank you, Councillor Canady. Councillor Beard, have you got anything further to add?
Nothing further.
Okay, thank you. Councillors, I'll put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Carried. Item 9.5 is the Open Data Access Policy. Mr Ray, please.
Mayor, thank you. The report before you this evening presents a revised Open Data Access Policy for adoption. The policy recognises the benefits of making available government data for public good, and the policy ensures continuing public access to council data to support a range of initiatives, including research and education. Council is custodian of many data sets, including trees, public buildings, roads and bike lanes, and Council maintains or makes available 11 open data sets which are available on the federal government portal. Mayor, the recommendation is before you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Ray. Councillors, there's a recommendation regarding the Open Data Access Policy. Someone like to move that recommendation? Councillors? Thank you, Councillor Vogels and Councillor Beard. Councillor Vogels, do you have anything you'd like to comment on?
I think the policy fits well with the council plan and it will streamline data between councils if it increases efficiency and customer service. So I'm happy to support the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Beard, anything further?
Not too much. Just it all comes back to being transparent and willing to share the data in the best way possible with those that need to access it. So it's a good policy to have, one we need to have, and it's very relatable and, yeah, just well put together. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillors, we'll put that motion to a vote. All in favour? Carried. Item 9.6 are the quick response grants allocation for May 2021. Ms Lindley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report is to consider the May 21 allocation of funds as part of the Quick Response Grants program. The program supports instances of community need that are not readily able to be considered under other grant programs operated by Council. Applications for the Quick Response Grants are considered as they are received and are assessed against a series of criteria. The annual budget allocation for the program is $17,500. Madam Mayor and Councillors, officers have received applications from the TIMBOON Recreation Reserve Committee of Management, the Camperdown SES, the Camperdown Toy Library, the Simpson Bowls Club and the Port Campbell Surf Lifesaving Club. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Lindley. Councillors, would someone like to move this recommendation? This is a popular one. Councillor Hickey and Councillor Cole. Councillor Hickey.
Thanks, Mayor. You're right. This is a very popular program, and all the applicants have met the quick response grants policy, and so this could only result in a positive outcome for the community. So the TIMBOON Recreation Reserve Committee of Management, the Camperdown SES, the Camperdown Toy Library, the Simpson Bowls Club and the Port Campbell Surf Lifesaving Club are all very, very worthy recipients of this, and I thoroughly support the program.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think these grants are a wonderful way for small groups in the community to access some emergency funds when things crop up, to fix a hall or do also across the board. There's a lot of different things happening there, so it's a great way for them to be able to access that emergency fund and just do some repairs and keep ticking along. So congratulations.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. And can I just remind community groups out there is that there's still over $7,000 available through this fund up to the 30th of June. So there's another council meeting to go. So I'd urge you, if you need some grants for small projects around your club, please get onto council's website and put in an application. The fund does get refreshed again at the 1st of July, but there is still some funds available. Anything further, councillors? All in favour? It's carried. Item 9.7 is a review of the 2021 swimming pool season. Ms Love, thank you.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. Yes, councillors, this report provides council with an overview of the 2021 swimming pool season. Unlike any other, this season was impacted by COVID, like many other things. The constantly changing environment meant it was difficult for the YMCA and council to plan for the season, and a number of contingencies and plans needed to be considered and put in place. Options were not having a season at all, a limited and restricted season for minimal activity, or a modified season based on the ongoing restrictions. And pleasingly, all our pools were able to open and provide our communities with a swimming pool season last year. The attendances were a decrease on previous years, which was to be expected because of COVID and the reduced pool season. Having said that, a range of programs were offered at the pools, and again our committees of management were active, providing a number of facility enhancements at the pools for the benefit of the community. Council undertook a range of facility improvements and maintenance before the season, including painting of the TIMBOON, Terang, Lismore and Skipton pools, and the installation of a wet deck at Lismore swimming pool. Feedback was sought by the YMCA on the pool experience, and pleasingly 98% of survey respondents highlighted they were satisfied or very satisfied with their experience at the pool. Some improvement opportunities include the number of activities and programs and options for different activities and programs, which we should be able to expand on hopefully in the coming year with no COVID restrictions. Councillors, all in all, swimming pool season we were able to offer to our community at each of our swimming pools, and I present the report for your information. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Love. Councillors, we have a recommendation. Council receives the report. I'd like to move that. Thank you, Councillor Cole. Seconded, Councillor Macon. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm happy to move this. I think swimming is a great activity, and learning to swim is an even better one. And the best way to learn to swim is in a swimming pool, supervised and with a level of safety, instead of swimming in a dam or a back beach where there's no one supervising. And everyone should learn to swim for a number of reasons, but it's a healthy occupation as well, and a safe occupation if you learn to swim. I learned to swim in the Lismore pool, so I'm more than happy to move this motion. Keep going.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Councillor Macon.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. With the year we've just had, it was great to see the pools were able to open and operate it, albeit in a reduced season. But an open pool is much better than a closed pool. And from a personal point of view, it was just great to see the kids out enjoying themselves and having fun fun with friends again and after being not active for so long. The numbers were decreased by 19%, as Ms Love said, but in part this was a season being only 11 weeks instead of 16 weeks. And lots of people still very nervous, excuse me, due to the COVID-19, the unknown, the snap 5-day lockdown, and one of the coolest summers experienced all contributed to this decrease. All of the pools got to run some sort of extra activity, whether it be a triathlon, a movie night, inflatable activities, lap swimming challenge or Pilates. The Lismore swimming pool got a conversion to a wet deck design, which was necessary to reduce the water loss and modernise the existing facility. Although there were some defects identified with the works, the contractor responsible will return to carry out the repairs to the defects and reassures us that this work will be carried out before the opening of the next season. LSV carried out audits of the Lismore and Skipton pools, and these audits were last done in 2017, and both pools made a great improvement from when they were last performed, which just shows the commitment and the dedication the staff, the council and the YMCA have had to their pools. I was able to attend and chair the Central Pools meeting, which was a great opportunity for all pool committees to come together and discuss what things were successful and what things weren't. One of the major issues to come out of this meeting was pools are very important for people's health, well-beings, and was very particularly important after the year we've just had. I would like to thank all the staff and pool committees for their time, effort that they put into getting the pools up and running and making sure they are a great place for everyone to visit. Let's hope season 21-22 will be a long and hot one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Macon. Councillors, is there any further comments on the pool season? Put it to a vote. All in favour? It's carried. Item 9.8 is contract 2022-007, the cleaning of council buildings. Ms Love.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. Council has undertaken a selective tender process to recruit a suitably experienced contractor to provide cleaning services of its council buildings. The cleaning is to include daily, weekly and annual duties to maintain the cleanliness of our libraries, senior sits and civic centre offices. The works are expected to be contracted for a 2-year period with the option to extend for a further 2-year period subject to mutual agreement. 8 submissions were received from experienced contractors from the cleaning industry, all based in Melbourne. The financial benefit to council was measured by the number of hours proposed by the contractor to clean the facility and the hourly rate charged. The hourly rate was inclusive of all travel, cleaning products, wages and equipment. The weekly routine cleaning was considered against the current allocated hours and the hours proposed by the tenderer and the hourly rate specified. An additional 12 hours per week across the 7 facilities is proposed, which is approximately 1.5 hours for each facility. This will have an increase in the cost for the cleaning service of an additional $36,000, which will be incorporated into Council's 21-22 budget as a part of a future variation, should Council accept the recommendation which is before you.
Thank you, Ms Love. And just to clarify that the table on page 47 of the agenda, if anybody is following us on the agenda, Tenderer 6 had allocated 243 hours. That's not a typo. Okay, just right. Clarifying that for anyone who may be following. Councillors, there's a recommendation awarding this contract. Someone like to move the recommendation? Councillors? Thank you, Councillor Hickey, and seconded Councillor Canady. Councillor Hickey.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I think we should adopt this recommendation. The cleaning has never been more important than what it is in this current climate, and I think that we have been very well served in the past to make sure that our facilities have been nice and clean. So yes, pleasure to recommend this. The council adopt this.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Canady, do you have anything further?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. There has been quite a lot of time put in by the assessment team in assessing these applications, looking at the number of hours required to clean the facilities, the hourly rate, and the feedback concerning the current standard of cleaning and expectations of facility users. It was proposed that an additional 12 hours is required to clean the facilities, as Ms Love pointed out. I think it was interesting and good that we got 8 applications tendering against very specific criteria in today's market. So whilst the tenders, the outcome of the tenders was a substantial increase on the amount that we are paying out at the moment for our cleaning, the point is that we had 8 applicants and they are tendering on similar criteria in today's market. Blue Gum Services, who have been recommended to be awarded the contract, did have the second lowest hourly rate and competed very well with the other tenders and rated well for local content as well, and also had a very good referee check. So despite the fact that the new contract will be substantially higher than what we drafted for in the budget, I think that we have got a good outcome and I support the recommendation as put.
Thank you, Councillor Canady. Councillors, if there's nothing further, put it to a vote. All those in favour? It's carried. Item 9.9 is contract 2022001, the external plant hire and associated services. Ms Love,
Thank
you
you.
introduce, please.
Through you, Mayor. Councillors, the contract for external plant hire and associated services enables Council to have access to additional plant readily available for use when required to complement our own heavy plant and equipment. Best value is achieved when selecting the most appropriate piece of plant for the specific work and job by considering the price, the condition of the plant equipment, capability, availability and proximity to the jobs. 33 submissions have been received. Contractors that have been on Council's list of approved suppliers in the past have been provided with work and have each undertaken the work to Council's satisfaction. There were 11 new contractors who submitted a tender, and 4 of these have already been engaged by Council through a request for quotation process and delivered satisfactory work during the last construction season. There's a diverse range of plant from a large number of tenderers, but after a detailed evaluation of the tenders, the assessment panel is recommending 27 tenderers be accepted for the panel contract. The recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Ms Love. Councillors, there's a recommendation to accept those 27 tenderers to be used when deemed appropriate. Anyone like to move? Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hickey. Thanks, Councillor Vogels.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you through you, Madam Mayor. Accept the officer's recommendation. 27 contractors is a good mix. Gives us plenty of options and a chance to get the right tool for the right job. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Vogels. Councillor Hickey.
Nothing further except to say that there's a very good use of local contractors and equipment, and yes, there's a fair bit of work to be done, so happy to support this.
Thank you very much. Anything further, councillors? Move to a vote. All in, Councillor Beard?
No, it's okay, it can hold.
Move to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried. Councillors, is there any other business this evening? Councillor Macon.
If I may, through you, Madam Mayor, it would be very bad of me as the South West Ward councillor not to say that everyone needs to vote for Timboon for the top small tourist town. Voting closes on Thursday, so I suggest you all go to the website, have a look and find the link to vote for Timboon, because we all need your votes to get over the line. It'd be great for Timboon to win this award. I'd like to thank everyone involved in getting the video up and going. It's just a great thing to show what Timboon can do. It's such a small town, but we punch above our weight. So thank you very much, and vote for Timboon. Thank you.
Well done, Councillor Macon. And yes, everybody get on the website and vote one Timboon. We have nobody with us in our gallery, so we have no open forum. So councillors, thank you very much, and I'll close the meeting and thank those who may be watching online. Thank you.